Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're listening, welcome to Pastors of Pain. I'm Father Brian O'Brien, pastor of St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church here in beautiful Stillwater, Oklahoma. For the last, Father Carey's not here today, and I know many of you will now turn the show off because he's the reason that you listen. But we're actually going to do, over the next couple weeks, kind of a series of interviews of famous and interesting people in the life of the Catholic Church here in Payne County, Oklahoma. So we've had, it's Lent. We're off and running. I hope everything's going well in your Lent. Ash Wednesday was massive, both at St. Francis Xavier and at St. John's, just big crowds. And I was kind of talking to lots of friends all over the country, all over Oklahoma, and everyone was like, yeah, there was a lot of people. Anyway, it was good. So Lent's off to a rockin' start. Okay, so in the world of St. Francis Xavier, you know, the world is always changing, and you can never always quite keep up. But this podcast has you covered because we have a new youth minister at St. Francis Xavier, and she is here with us. And this is the most exciting thing, at least that's happened to me this Lent. Maybe in my life. Anyway, Kira Ziola.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to your debut. Have you been on the show before?
I've never been on the show.
Oh, well, goodness. Have you ever been on a podcast?
Never been on a podcast.
My goodness.
This is a first.
This is amazing.
It is.
Okay, so Kira just came. So it's kind of Kira is a grad student. I'm going to have her tell you her entire life story. But so right now it's kind of is sort of the part-time, and then we'll kick it up into the full-time realm starting this summer. But anyway, Kira, how did this all come about? How did this give everyone, like, how did you come to us?
Okay, so
give us the scoop.
I came to OSU my freshman year in fall of 2018. And this beautiful new church was built, and I spent half my time at St. John's, half my time at St. Francis just for prayer time, just because I loved the beautiful church. I had to come over. And then in, the fall of my sophomore year when I had my reconversion, if you will, I spent...
We're going to talk about that. What
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I
Okay,
spent,
hold that thought, yeah.
Hours in the very front left pew in St. Francis. About
front left, that's a good spot.
Yeah, like 10 a.m. probably almost every morning for a few semesters until COVID sent me home back to Tulsa. But I've spent a lot of time in that front left pew. It's been a very special role in my faith life and my prayer life. Thus, this church has been very important ever since, which has been about like 3 to 4 years from then. And then I... discovered this youth minister position from all over social media and from Father Brian himself, and from friends who were saying, hey, you should check this out, pray about it, see if you want to apply, so that kind of thing. That's where I found myself here.
Dig it.
Yeah.
Dig it. We're pretty excited. I'm pretty excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah. We are in, like, just youth ministry here we've had a lot of success. I mean, there's a lot of kids and a lot of good things going on. And I think the hard part is kind of, and this is true, I think, of any ministry, of like, whatever good you're doing, like, there's more good to be done. And I'm kind of, and I can get like, I don't sort of like rest on success very well, and partially because I don't necessarily have a lot of success all the time. But, you know, like, so some people could say, like, wow, look at all these kids. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, but what about all these kids that are not here, you know, or that we don't know, or that don't come to church ever, or don't know the Lord. So anyway, that's what we're going to be working on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Kira has Nebraska roots.
I do.
Tell us about your Nebraska roots.
Go Cornhuskers. Okay, so I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Both my parents went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. That's where they met. All my family still lives there, so grandparents, cousins from both sides, you name it. We moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma because of my dad's job in the middle of my first grade year. So, but we went back to Nebraska many times a year to see all the family. And my sister went back to college at Creighton University there. So we would go visit her. And so there's my roots as a Cornhusker.
You root for Nebraska?
Well, here's the thing. I'm loyal and true to my alma mater.
Go Pokes.
Go Pokes. But if they are not playing Nebraska, I'll still root for them.
Okay,
They have
that's
a special
fair.
place in my heart.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They aren't very good right now at a lot of sports.
Yeah, that's
So it's a
all
little
right.
bit hard, but it's
I
okay.
get you. You're loyal. That's where the loyal part comes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Oklahoma, and then you grew up in. Tell us about like education wise. This is where Kira and I's our paths crossed in the world of Catholic education.
They have. We lived in a suburb of Broken Arrow, and so I went to All Saints Catholic School for elementary school.
What is the
and
mascot of All Saints?
Cougars. Oh, yeah.
It's not the Saints.
It is. I know, you would think.
All Saints
You would
Saints.
think. All Saints
The
Cougars.
Cougars.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
we're learning new things. Okay,
I know.
so you went to All Saints.
I did.
First grade through
And
eighth grade. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Graduated with about 32-ish. And then I went to none other than Bishop Kelly High School.
What? Go Comets.
Yeah. That's where I passed across with Father Brian when I was in middle school because my older sister went to Bishop Kelly already. But I really met him when I went to high school there and graduated in 2018. I'm with my last name Ziola. I'm last as you could believe. So I was, I think, like 217 or something like that. I was the very last one. They almost shot off the confetti, and I hadn't even made it to my chair yet.
Oh, that
it was in
would
the
not
back.
have been cool.
I know, but
Wow.
yes. So that's Catholic education my whole life until college.
Wow. How did you come to go to OSU?
It's funny. I am, especially in high school, was a very undecisive person. So I was debating between Creighton in Omaha to go back to Nebraska where the family was, or Oklahoma State, which is big school. I have a huge love for sports. So it seemed catered to my personality. Anyways, I couldn't decide. So my mom told me, well, you're going to go visit both again one more time. Because this was like March. Like, we're getting late. I got to decide. And when I stepped on campus here, it was just one of those, at the time I described it as a gut feeling, but now I know it's kind of disposition of heart of where the Lord wants me to be. But at the time I was like, it just feels right, and I just know I need to go to OSU. And so I did, and that's all I went off of. And it is, I'm sure I would have loved Creighton, but OSU has been massively the correct choice for me.
Nice. Yeah, I think part of life is like my parents always say like bloom where you're planted, like I think you would have been fine wherever you go. But there's certain places that are just like a fit.
For sure.
That's awesome. Okay, so then what is your major? What are you studying?
Okay, so this is another
It's
funny story.
awesome prep for youth ministry. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, when I applied to OSU at the time, I was just clueless. And I put biology as my major just 'cause I was like, oh, yeah, I like biology. Then I show up for orientation, and they put me with all the biology people. And I was like, whoa, I don't think that's what I wanted to study.
What's up
And
with
they're
all
like,
these nerds?
well, that's what you applied for. And I was like, really? So the first
forgot.
semester, I
That's so
actually
funny.
switched to nutrition science, walked my papers across the street, and then I decided, no, I actually am more interested in the sports exercise sides. So my degree was applied exercise science, pre-professional track. I was at the time planning to go into physical therapy, but have decided not to do that.
There we go. And then now you're a grad student.
I am. My master's is in health and human performance, but it's a lot of like exercise physiology. My research is with the men's and women's golf teams and sports performance.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Is there a connection? I'm just I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there a connection between all of that and youth ministry?
Not quite. Not really.
But it's people.
People. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
When I did, I lived in Colorado with my sister for half a summer with a physical therapy internship. And when I left, I told her, I just love the people. Like the Tuesday, Thursday people come in. I love to chat with them. And she and I talked, and she's like, well, you can be with people in like not every other, but a lot of other jobs. Like, and I knew it wasn't the physical therapy. It was the people that I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, what a parish is and what youth ministry is.
Mm-hmm.
It's relationship building and trying to get young people to, have a relationship with you, but then ultimately a relationship with the Lord to
Absolutely.
save their souls.
Oh yeah.
No
That's
pressure.
the goal.
Okay,
Thanks.
so you mentioned the word reconversion.
Mm-hmm.
Talk me through that. What is that?
Okay.
What's a conversion, and then what's a reconversion? And
Mm-hmm.
then are you going to have another one, or is it?
Oh, every day. I
Are you
hope.
done? Okay.
I would say, which correct me if I'm wrong. A conversion I think of more, for example, like shout out to my mom. She was raised Methodist and converted to the Catholic faith, I think a few years after my sister was born. So she had a conversion to the Catholic faith.
So your
where
dad grew up Catholic?
My dad grew up Catholic, yes. So I grew up cradle Catholic and going to Catholic Mass my whole life, Catholic school, learning about it. And then what I call my reconversion was my sophomore year when I had all this knowledge about God and about my faith, but I had just not made it to my heart yet. The relationship was not really there. I had kind of found a little bit of foundation and knowledge for it, but I hadn't really allowed the Lord to change my life and have relationship with me. So my reconversion, if you will, was in the fall of my sophomore year when I just finally knew. There were a culmination of a lot of things and realizations, and it came to a point where one night I just knew I needed to rebuild a foundation with relationship with God and making all the knowledge to the heart and allow Him to actually change my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think, especially like in Catholic education, and then we do this a lot, and even in the parish of like, we teach people, kids, teenagers, adults, like about God, about the scriptures, about the person of Jesus. But knowing, I've said this all the time, knowing about someone is not the same as knowing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there comes a point where, and we want this in the life of the parish and in the life of our youth ministry, we want teenagers to make a choice, to make a definitive choice, to make the Lord the center of their life. And and so how do we do that? And every kid's a little different, and every family's a little different, and there's a lot of work to be done. But that it's cool that you've been able to. You can kind of pinpoint the moment, the day that happened.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right
Because it's a fun fact. I went on a pilgrimage to Rome and the Vatican with a Jesuit priest January of that year, and then which is the Vatican kind of known as the womb of the church. And then 9 months later, I had my reconversion.
What?
So it's pretty cool. I didn't realize that till later, but it's a really special.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. We should take some teenagers and
We should. I would love to.
Go to Rome.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll work on that. We
will.
got other fish to fry
True.
as we get going. Okay, so then you love sports.
I do.
What?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Where did that come from? How do you see that? Well, maybe two parts, just kind of personally, and then how does that work into youth ministry?
Yeah. Okay, so sports is, I would say, thanks to my dad. Shout out, Dad. He listens to the podcast. But I have an older sister, and so I joke. It's a joke, but I say I'm the son my dad never had sometimes, in the sense of he always grew up. We were the ones going to sports and watching sports, and I loved going to anything live sports. I was a super energetic child. I did not sit still, like at all.
You still don't sit still.
Not quite. See, I'm moving right now.
Better, but better. Yeah, better
sorry
than you
to
used
my
to.
past teachers when I didn't stop talking and wasn't sitting still. But so sports is what my parents put me in to just get me moving and energized. So I played pretty much everything you could think of growing up. I played soccer, basketball, volleyball. I got into lacrosse in high school.
Yeah, you were on the ground. You were on the ground
yeah.
floor of the Bishop Kelly lacrosse team.
I was. So I just fell in love with sports. I love being outside, and almost all of them were outside. And just moving. I've just always loved sports. And it's always been on. ESPN's on almost every night, so I've become to learn about every other sport.
Do your roommates like sports?
Funny, not
quite.
As much.
That's what happens in this house.
Yeah, I have to ask them in advance. Like, hey, the OSU football game's on. Like, we're going to watch. And can I please have the TV tonight? And then I try to convince them to watch with me. But most of the times they end up doing something else or on their computer.
The last 10
phone.
minutes.
Yeah. They ask me some questions every once in a while. It takes me a little bit to drag them to come in person. So that's why I go with some other people.
How many state championships do you have?
Well, I only have one in lacrosse. Volleyball, one at Bishop Kelly. I think 2 of the years I was there, but I never got a ring.
Oh,
I was
you were like a
not
JV?
on. Yeah, I think one of them was my freshman or sophomore year, so I was on JV, and I think also the other year they won, I was on JV.
Got it.
They have a lot of teams, so it can get complicated.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. Wow. Okay, well, so sort of sports and youth ministry. What's the...
Let's see. Relationship with your teammates, the teammate community camaraderie is really important. I also just naturally, it's a gift from God, but naturally able to like lead. So I was captain of a few of my sports teams, and just to like lead, like we would have small groups, for example, in volleyball with like freshman, sophomore girls, and just to like lead people younger than me, it pushed me at a young age to learn how to do that and how to love people well. So basically the community team aspect and relationship pours into youth ministry, and everyone's on one goal, and everyone's a little bit different, and everyone does everything in their own way, but there's one goal.
And each person brings a little something different to the team. You can't just have a football team of offensive linemen.
Yeah,
that's not gonna work. Or kickers.
Exactly.
You just had 65 kickers. Your team would stink. So we need you need a little bit of everything. Yeah,
and also in a small way, just thought of this. It taught me how to like lead a group in prayer, honestly, because I would, especially seniors, we would take turns leading the entire like 50-person team in prayer. And as like a 16, 17-year-old, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but it kind of taught me how to lead prayer, like for the team before practice, before a game, that kind of thing.
And then, that you build on that as you...
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, you mentioned you did a little, earlier this week, you did a little video kind of introducing yourself, and you talked about St. John Paul II.
I did.
Tell us, how'd you meet him?
He's the man. I've heard so much about him for years, and this is funny, but there used to be at our old house in Broken Arrow, on the piano was a book of St. John Paul II and his kid stuff. And if I'm being honest, I have no idea what was in it, but I remember walking by it, multiple times every day. I remember opening it up, and when my sister and I would like play mass every once in a while, I remember that book being up there. But also my family, or my dad's side of the family, is Polish, from Poland. And so that always has kind of been
your name is Polish? Is
Ziola.
Polish?
Yeah. I believe it's pronounced Zioła in Polish. Yeah. And
that's interesting, because like John Paul II's name before he became John Paul II, he was Karol Wojtyła with a W. WOTJA. Something.
Sounds right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so being Polish, that kind of drew me in also. But then this year in a book club, I read his book, like John Paul the Great, his 5 Loves. And
by Jason Everett.
When I read that book, I was like, he just gets me and I get him. Like the way that his heart wants to love and love Jesus is exactly how my heart wants to love and love Jesus. And so just I relate to him so much, and he loved the outdoors. He loved sports, and he loved like music and drama. And yeah, just the way his heart loves and his love for the youth really inspired me. And so then I decided, before I'd even applied for this job, I read that book and I was like, he's going to be my patron saint for the next year, and I'm going to like learn a ton about him. And then I went to the SEEK conference, and they announced that St. John Paul II is the saint for the week.
Yeah.
And he had mass in that exact arena, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I knew he chose me rather than I chose him, because this year he's been integral, and now I've got this new job as youth ministry, and he is the man of leading the youth. And also his teachings on theology of the body have been a lot of my recent reading and in my prayer and thoughts.
So Kira and I have been talking about doing something. We don't know what it looks like yet, but this summer with theology of the body. Tell us what is that? And then what, I don't know, what are we going to do? We got there's some cool opportunities.
There is. Theology of the body, kind of take of one of St. John Paul II's quote of, like, this is who the world says you are, but this is who you are. So especially teens and everyone in our world right now is being told what the world says they are, and you are this and you are that, and almost all of them are actually not how God created us to be. So theology of the body is just basically telling us who we are, what we were created for, what it means, why we were created. It's just to the roots of who we are as humans, and a lot flows out from that, obviously, from theology of the body.
Yeah, and just the meaning of the body, it's not insignificant. We're not just sort of shell, it's me, and I have this shell called my body.
Yeah.
Like I am my body, and there's theological implications of that, of how we ought to live.
Mm-hmm. He calls it like right now we're kind of in the culture of death, just in the sense of what does it mean for death? Death means separation of soul and body, and that's kind of what the culture's acting like we are doing, is we're separating body and soul, which is ultimately, I mean, when you die, you're separating soul and body. So it's kind of like a culture of death right now, which is very interesting to think about.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So we've just been. I mean, this is all sort of new. Kira's new, and we're planning things for the summer. So we're gonna go to the Steubenville conference in July, up to Springfield, Missouri. We got, I don't know what we got, 50 spots or. Anyway, it's going to be awesome. So Kira's getting on that. And then we're kind of just talking through what do we want the summer to look like. Is that small groups? Is that getting a group together and kind of talking through theology of the body? But I think for you, I mean, a big challenge is kind of getting to know everybody.
Yeah,
How do you do that?
I'm going to we'll spend a lot of time here getting to know people, but hopefully a combination of me going up to people and meeting people at church, and also them coming up to me and introducing themselves to me, so I can, it'll take time for me to learn names. I'm decently okay at names, but I won't remember everyone first try. But yes, I'm excited to get to know people, hopefully starting soon. And just, there's going to be a lot, but I'm excited, one at a time.
We've been talking about maybe asking parents. We're going to kind of put together, I don't know what that's, a little form of some kind, allowing kind of parents to tell us about your kid, and whatever that looks like, just their favorite stuff, what they like to do, what their problems are, why you love them,
Absolutely.
I think that would be a great way to get to know
for sure
people. There's good stuff there. Okay, then you love the outdoors.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite place in Stillwater.
Are we gonna go hiking a lot or something? Is this gonna
maybe?
Is the youth?
It depends with the youth. I gotta catch the vibe of what they like to do. But maybe I'll get a few of them at least that want to go.
I'll bet there
hiking.
are a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the outdoors, and Lake Carl Blackwell is my favorite place right now in Stillwater for the sunset and just listening to the waves, and you feel like you're outside of Stillwater even though you're only like 10 minutes away. But I love anything outside, anything with water. I enjoy fishing with Father Carey sometimes. He is very patient with me, which is very kind. But I love just anything outside, the warmth, any sort of bonfire, s'mores. I love to camp. And John Paul II was notorious for celebrating Mass outside, and he loved kayaking and hiking, and I enjoy all of that.
Kira kind of gave me a weird look yesterday. we were talking about maybe taking people hiking and camping, and she was like, "I'm not the most outdoorsy person," and so she said, "Well, would you come and have Mass outside?" Which, of course, yeah, heck yeah.
I said, there's going to be bugs, maybe, but
there's some good opportunities there. No, and then Father Healy, of course, he's super outdoorsy,
and he's like archery and everything too.
Oh,
I gotta ask him.
Yeah, that would be. There's some good crossover there. Wow. Okay, tell us about you grew up at St. Benedict's. So one of the things I've been telling is people are like, who's this new person? And I'm like, well, anyway, I tell them all about you. And then one of the things I say is like, you grew up in like really one of the most active like youth groups in the state at St. Benedict's. Tell us about that and kind of what you learned there.
Yeah. Since I went to Catholic school, I did not go to religious education, but I knew there was a very large group in my grade. Like, I don't know exactly how many, but at least 40 or more just in my grade at the parish. I just grew up with the parish with Father Joe Townsend. He was just very, very great with all sorts of families and everybody. But just like after Mass, there would be, I wasn't donuts. I think the Knights of Columbus made some other breakfast, but we used to stay there, and there were a bunch of kids. And I think there were donuts, but they also had like a meal of some sort. And lots of donuts, so actually, now that you say that.
It's not a real parish if there's not donuts.
I know. But basically, I started in high school pretty much. I went on all the summer mission trips. So, like, I went to Steubenville twice. And when we went to Steubenville, we also did mission work with, like, kind of homeless ministry for that week leading up to Steubenville. And then I also went to Catholic Heart Work camps, like 3 different years around the country. But there was a huge group of us at St. Benedict's that would hang out at all the church things and totus to us. And I helped with Vacation Bible School and went to Vacation Bible School, and I'm around all that youth. And it's very large and vibrant, which it was very great to grow up.
And your youth minister had a big impact on you.
Yes, Miss Deb, and also campus minister Sarah Dix. So both of them. Miss Deb, such a joyful, loving lady who loves the Lord and let it show through her, and all the fun stuff that she had planned for youth ministry and high school youth group in the summers, and even middle school. Like this summer, I chaperoned the middle schoolers to Incredible Pizza. I raced them on go-karts and beat them, and they were mad I didn't let them win, but I was like, no, we're not going to let that happen. But
high standards.
Yeah. And then Sarah Dix is campus minister. She is now the campus minister still at Bishop Kelly, but she was my volleyball coach in like late middle school, and then she was my volleyball coach my freshman year at Bishop Kelly, and then she moved to be campus minister. So then she was all of the things, and she just showed me what it's like to love Jesus and live a life of virtue, but also have so much fun along the way.
She called me and was very enthusiastic about us hiring you. She was basically like, if you don't hire her, she didn't say this, but I could hear it. I know her so well. I could hear it in her voice. She was basically, if you don't hire Kira, you are a total idiot. That was like the message.
I got to go tell her thank you then. I had talked to her and asked her.
We were going in that direction anyway, but
yeah.
I trust Sarah.
Yeah, she was, and I still meet up with her every once in a while.
Yeah, and that'll be good. I mean, for you and her that you already know each other, but she's been in it.
She's wise
kind of been in the game for a while.
I gotta use some of her great knowledge and experience.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, so you've had good mentors, obviously a good family, good parish experiences that you've grown up with. Anyway, so all of that is just very foundational, I think, to what's going to happen here.
I agree.
As we go forward. That's awesome. Okay, if you could say like one thing to the kids, the teenagers of the parish, what do you want to say?
I'll say, come on down. Come to youth group. We're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to learn about Jesus, obviously, but I want you to know that the church is more than just where you come on Sundays. It's a place you can come to be with each other and do your homework maybe. Whatever it is, we're going to have fun, learn about Jesus, and be in community. The church is more than just coming on Sunday for an hour. It can be a lot more than that. So allow Jesus to come into your life, and I'm excited to meet you.
You've talked about joyful community. Yeah, I think that'll be a key theme of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Going forward. All right, Kira Ziola, she is the new youth minister at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church. We're fired up. So we're going to just be on the lookout for Flock Note and social media and all that stuff, and we'll have lots of good stuff coming out about the summer, Steubenville, opportunities to get to know Kira, for Kira to get to know you. But pray for her.
Yes, please pray for me.
Big transition, big job, and we're fired up. Thanks for joining us, Kira.
Thank you.